Hello and welcome. My name is Lexi Jong and here I like to talk about luxury beauty. Today we are doing an updates video and I have to say I have so many updates that we're gonna have to do one this week and some additional things next week. So today's video is going to be more focused on viewer requests, and if there are additional requests that you have that don't make it into today's video, please be sure to tune in next week in the next video and let me know down below in the comments or DM me on Instagram at AlexisJong as to what you'd like to see. So today we're going to be going through a whole bunch of different things, a lot of swatch requests and dupes and things like that. So let's go ahead and we're going to start off with the request for looking at the Rephr 32 brush with Surratt hologram shadows. So this brush is one that came out during the holidays. You can see I just used it. I personally like this brush for a variety of things. I like to use it for under eye concealer, powder, if I want like a little bit of a highlight here, and it's actually an eye brush. So today I used it for this eye look using the Surratt hologram shadows. If you're unfamiliar with Surratt holograms, so Surratt has their artistique eyeshadows, which are their traditional eyeshadow formula. It's a slurry powder formula, very smooth, satiny, gorgeous. And then the holograms are their duochrome shades, which are a very creamy formula, and they are intended to be put over a base. So they have two bases. This one here is dark matter, which is my preference. There's also the light matter. If you put them over the light matter, you get more of a pastel appearance, and it looks pretty much like it would on my skin without the base. And then if you put it over the dark matter, you get a lot more color shifting. So these are the two holograms I use today. This one here is Interstellar, and then this one is Supernova. And you can see Supernova has like this purple, green, and blue shift to it. It's really beautiful. Let me show you what that looks like on the dark matter. So the dark matter, you can use a regular like deep eyeshadow as a base, but the dark matter itself, it has a little bit more of a putty texture, which helps with adherence of these particular shades. So let's go ahead and get these shadows on here. So here is Interstellar, and here is Supernova. So you can see it's just going to be a bit more vibrant. You also notice a bit more of the green with Supernova on the deeper base. So that's what we used on the eyes. Let's go ahead and cut to the demo. We'll come back. So we are going to be testing out the Rephr 32 brush. So this is the angled one. You can use this for under eye concealer, highlight, whatever, but it's actually considered an eye brush. So we're going to test out this brush with a few Surratt shades. So this is the dark matter in the large pan. It is a black, more creamy putty-like shadow that works very well with the hologram shades. So this one here is Supernova. You can see it's like a duochrome or multi-chrome shade. And then we also have, I believe this one is Interstellar. Yes. So we're going to take a look at these on the eyes. So let's start off with the dark matter. And we're going to see if we can do this whole look with just this brush. So here's the dark matter. Just putting this on lightly, kind of all over, but concentrating it more so at the outer portion. So just a light dusting on the rest of the lid. And I'm actually going to take the Rephr 01 just in the crease here and just smooth that out a little bit. All right, so I wiped off this brush. Now we're going to go into Supernova. And you can see, looking at the pan, you see how the indent is, that these are a very creamy shadow. I typically use my finger for these. So let's see how the brush applies. And we're going to start at the outer corner here. And let's test this out a bit. You can see because it is a dense brush, it goes on pretty well. I think it still goes on a little bit better with my finger. Actually not better, just faster. with a finger application. So here's Supernova with the brush. And I was going to try my finger on the other side. So let's go ahead and test that out. You can see how creamy it is here. Yeah, and you can see that that pigment just like packs on pretty immediately. So you do get a little bit more pigmentation right off the bat using a finger application versus the Rephr 32. Okay, and then I'm going to use the brush into the Interstellar shade, and I'm going to work from the inside out with this one. And I just wipe the brush off on my cloth, and I'm going to overlap just a touch. Let's test out the Byredo. I think this one is the 03 brush. We're going to put this one in the Interstellar. It's a synthetic brush, but it works really well with the Byredo creamy products. So I figure it should work well with these as well. So there's the inner corner, but let's just put it on here. You know, I think that works really well. All right, so going back with the Rephr 01 and just cleaning up the crease a little. And I'm going to take the Byredo 03, get a little bit of the Supernova on it, and put this on the lower lash line. All right, so there is the Surratt holograms using the Rephr 32 brush. I actually think it worked out pretty well. I'm gonna finish my makeup and I'll see you in a minute. All right, so I hope that was helpful. As you can see, this brush from Rephr is incredibly versatile with the holograms because they are such a creamy shadow. You really wanna use some sort of brush that is dense. They work best with a finger application, but if you'd rather use a brush, which is my preference, you want something dense that can pack on the color. So something like a soft shader works well, or something like this Rephr 32 or the new Byredo 01 and 03 brushes, which are more of that dense dome shape. So my number one's dirty, but this is the number 3 that I used in the demo. And just because of the density of this, those put on the product very well. So that's kind of my recommendation with those. Again, if you haven't checked out the Surratt holograms yet, highly recommend them. I think they are gorgeous. Staying power on them is not as good as a regular eyeshadow though. So just something to know. I do get creasing with them by the end of the day. So yeah, I think they are great if you're wearing it for like 6 hours, you're good. But once you start to get into the higher numbers, I do notice a little bit of creasing with them or like fading. So, kind of where it like drifts down the eyelid a little bit. So just something to note. I've had that issue with this formula regardless of like primers and things I've used, but I love them anyway. While we're talking about Rephr, let's take a look at the Rephr Hydration Cream. So I started using this on January 22nd. That's when I received this. And this was gifted to me. It can be gifted to you too. So Rephr is doing something different right now. And they are basically giving this away. So essentially what you want to do, if you want free shipping, you do need to purchase something else. Otherwise, their shipping fee, it's like $5 or $6. So you pay what you want for this. So if you go on their website, this is in the concept store, and you got to put in whatever price you want to pay. And they actually do recommend putting in a price of 0 and then picking up one of the brush sets from the concept store. So they restock the concept store with a lot of great deals. So you can, get some brushes, get the cream for free. This is a really nice product. This is the first iteration that has gone through. It's actually the 15th or 16th product formulation that they've tested. But you can see we have an aluminum tube. This is what it actually looks like. It is kind of like a gel cream texture. It's lightweight like a gel, but it's more of like a medium weight. So, a lot of gel creams, or gels, they feel very water-based and they kind of evaporate pretty quickly. So they don't necessarily work well for people who have higher moisture needs. This, I would say, is a little heavier duty than that. I would say it works really well for people with oilier skin, people with normal even combo. For drier skin, you might want something on top of this, but it works well as a base. This is a fragrance-free product. It's 3.4 ounces. It's made in Korea, and it has 5% niacinamide, 3% dimethicone, 2% Centella asiatica, and 1% meadowfoam seed oil, and it has the 8 hyaluronic acid complex. It's fragrance-free, essential oil-free, can't smell it. So I've been using this, and actually my husband has taken this from me as well. He's on a roll right now, taking all of my stuff. So I know a lot of you have noticed that my hair, I've been doing my hair differently recently, or doing it because I'm very lazy when it comes to hair products. I hate doing my hair. So I did purchase the Dyson Airwrap over the holidays, and I purchased mine from the Dyson website because they had a 20% promotion. Actually, I ended up calling the San Francisco boutique. Thank you, Gita, for sharing that. They had it in stock there, but I needed the long barrels, and I specifically wanted the purple one. So I know a lot of you have asked me for a video on the Dyson. I will do that when I've used it a little bit longer, but I'm obsessed with it, and my husband has stolen it. So he says it's not mine anymore. We now share it. So he uses the round brush for his hair. He has very thick, you know, very thick hair, and yeah, so he has to style it or it's like up. So anyway, he loves it. I love it. It's been a great purchase. Very happy with that. But he has stolen this moisturizer and the Dyson Airwrap. And I mean, stolen's not the right word. He's perfectly welcome to use them. So moving on, let's take a look at dupes for the limited edition SUQQU lipstick. This is a sheer matte formula. This is shade 106. So I'm just putting a swatch here. I built it up here by the knuckles, but this shade is really hard to get. So this is 106, and you know, it comes and goes. It hasn't really restocked much, and from what I understand, it's not going to be restocked much. So if you are unable to get this, there's still a chance you'll be able to get it right now, but that chance is dwindling. Now, the SUQQU sheer mattes, if you're not familiar, they do come with this little plastic cap. And honestly, I use this on like half of mine, but you can purchase a full cap separately. I think it's like $3 or $5, something like that. But there's a little bit of, it's not really a mirror. It's a little bit too brushed to really see what you're doing in there, but you can purchase a cap separately for it. The idea was to reduce waste. So let's take a look at some lipsticks. This one here is Lisa Eldridge in Rose Official. And these are her like balmier lipsticks. So you can see that that one's not quite a match. This one here is Lisa Eldridge Spirited Away. We're gonna put that on the other side. So here's Spirited Away. So you can see that 106 is kind of in between Rose Official and Spirited Away. And then I originally thought it might be similar to some New Burberry lipsticks I had picked up, such as the one I'm wearing on my lips right now, which is these are the matte ones, by the way. This is 38 Matte Rosewood. So let me show you that. And I will have a video on these at some point. I just haven't gotten to it yet. These are very creamy. So here's Matte Rosewood. It's on my lips. You can see it's going to be a lot more pigmented than the 106. And it's a little bit more rosewood. You know, it's not quite as pink. And then I also thought maybe it's like unicorn pink from Burberry, but unicorn pink is going to be a bit more vibrant and just slightly more pink, a little less rose, more pink. So this one was 34 unicorn pink. So then I went through my Burberry Kisses lipsticks, which are the satin formula. My closest one here is 33 Tempest Rose, which is this one here, but you can see it's more bubblegum pink than the 106. This here is one of the Guerlain Kiss Kiss Shine Bloom lipsticks, and it's right here. So this is going to be number 129 Blossom Kiss. It's going to be a bit of a warmer pink. And this one here is 229 Petal Blush. Put that right here. And I feel like this is slightly warmer, but they're kind of close. Of course, the Guerlain Kiss Kiss Shine Bloom lipsticks is going to be more of the shiny version, obviously from the name. But it's one of those lipstick, lip balm, lip gloss kind of hybrid products. Now, closest comparison formula-wise are going to be the Givenchy Le Rouge Sheer Velvets. This one here is number 16, which is one of my favorites. I forget what it's actually called though. But that's here. You can see it's going to be warmer. It's nude. I think it might be called Nude Boisé. But that one, gorgeous shade, but it is going to be warmer and a little bit more brown. We also have 23 Rose Irresistible. And let's put that one here. Here's that. And you can see it's going to be a brighter pink. This one here is a little sample of one of the Sisley Fito Rouge lipsticks. This one's 21. I think that is Rose Numia. So that's here. I actually think these are the closest out of what I have. Again, this is going to be more of a satin finish, so it's not matte. It's not going to be as sheer, but I think color-wise, they're pretty close. Let me put those side by side so you can see them a little bit better. So here's 106. They're pretty close. This is a little bit more pink. Let's take a look at one of the Guerlain Rouge G Mattes in 530, and we'll put that one right here next to 106. You can see that's going to be brighter. That's actually a lot more like the unicorn pink from Burberry. Let's take a look at a Guerlain Rouge G. This is one of the satin formulas. This one is 62. Just put that right here by the knuckle so you can see those together. Not quite. This is one of the Rose Ink sticks. So this one here is the SUQQU. You can see there's a similarity there. This one here is called Quartz. So it's, you know, one of those all-in-one sticks, but I do think that they are fairly close. Let me just put the 106 with that. This is going to be the end of my comparisons, unfortunately. But here's the 106, and here is the Quartz from Rose Ink. All right, so I think that the closest two are going to be the Sisley and the Givenchy, potentially in the Rose Irresistible. So here's the angling is so different going on the side of the arm. So this is the 106 for SUQQU. And let's just put these two side by side with it. This is the Givenchy in 23. You can see that this one is going to be a little bit brighter, but I think when it kind of settles in, they get a little bit more similar. But this one here is just going to be slightly more pink. And this is the Sisley in 21. Right down here. So I think those are the two closest. Let me just show you Nude Fumé as well, but it's going to be a little bit more berryish. So this is the Givenchy Sheer Velvet in Nude Fumé, and I'll put this right here. You can see that it's a little bit more berry, but honestly, if you mix these two 23 and 18 together, I think you kind of get that 106 shade. All right, so we're moving on to some more swatches. This time we're taking a look at the Tom Ford Metallust palette, and we're going to compare this with the Dior Grand Ball, which I have not actually gotten to use yet. So that is a new palette for me. It's not new to the line, just new to me. So here's Grand Ball, and see here, these are the first three shades. We're gonna go, we'll go vertically, or well, go on the side here. Okay, so this is really more of an, like one of those brown blacks. It's like such a dark brown that it's almost black. You can see that the shimmer shade is kind of like this one here on the bottom. The champagne shade there doesn't match. And then these two bottom shades are gonna be pretty gold. So here's Grand Ball versus Metallust. We also had a request for the Mini Glam palette from Natasha Denona with us. So let's take a look at that. And we're gonna go this way here. So you can see this is going to be a little bit more yellow than it, and the tones here are a little bit, they're a little different. Let's look at the last two here. So here's this brown. This is going to be closest to the last shade. And then this shade here, it's a little bit more golden than the shimmers in here. Now, looking at the Natasha Denona Glam palette, let's take a look at this shade here, which is called Smoke. This one for lash line. So let's look at that for our matte shades. That's definitely too black. That's a little bit cooler in tone than the Tom Ford, but they're close enough. And then we don't really have one like the warmer shimmer, but we'll look at these two here for the cooler shimmer here. So are those, yeah, they don't really go with any of them. And I think that's probably it, but let's just check. Let's try this one also. So I'll put this one up higher. Yeah, it's more golden. We also had a request for a comparison with the Chanel Blush Lumiere in Peche Rosé with the Printemps de Chanel. So we'll put that here. So here's Peche Rosé, and here is Fleur de Printemps. And we have a highlighter shade, and we have a blush shade here. And then the third one's going to be mixed. So here's the highlight, here's the blush, here they are mixed. So you can see they're definitely going to be much more pink. The highlight is closest on its own because the highlight's a little bit peachier, but it's still pinker than the Peche Rosé. Another request for the Dior blush in 352 Rose Dentelle. And I love this blush. Let's see here, do we have any space left here? Let me switch arms. So here's Rose Dentelle. I'm just gonna add another layer to that so you can see the color a bit better. And we're gonna look at Chantecaille blush in Bliss. So this is the butterfly blush from the Philanthropy series. And here's that. Let's add a second layer to that as well, so they're comparable. You can see that Bliss is going to be a little bit different. It's a little bit, I don't know. It's like there's a little bit more rose in it, but a little bit of a warmer rose, if that makes sense. So in comparison, Dentelle actually ends up looking a little bit peachier in some ways, but also a little bit dustier. So they're pretty close, but just a little different. I think that Rose Dentelle is just a little bit more nude than the Bliss, which is going to be a little bit more pink. While we're on blushes, we're going to add a few Surratt blush comparisons with the SUQQU blushes. This one here is number 7. I don't have anything quite like that, but let's take a look at my closest. So this is number 7 from SUQQU. And then my closest in Surratt is La Vie en Rose, which is going to be lighter. And it's a little bit more, you can see it's not quite as warm. It's a little bit cooler and rosier. Then we have number 6 from SUQQU. And this one you can see is kind of like a brighter orange. And I don't have every Surratt blush, but I have a lot of them. There is another one I think that might be a little bit closer, but this is Brilliant. And it's kind of a bright orange. You can see though there's a little bit more red in the Surratt. My next closest, oh, that's just my glue for my magnet. This is Peau de Peche. This is going to be a bunch lighter though. Let's put that here. So you can see the difference there. Tonally, it's probably a little bit closer. It's a little bit more peach and less orange, but it's going to be a lot lighter in general. Number 5 from SUQQU. This one here is kind of like this yellow shade here. My closest to that is going to be Flamme from Surratt, which I just got this one. I haven't used this. I'm going to put this one vertically so you can kind of see it also with 6. So it's kind of in between the two. And this is a shimmery blush. Here's number 4 from SUQQU. My closest to this is going to be La Rosee du Soir. And it's not going to quite match here. So there's La Rosee du Soir. You can see it's going to be more nude and cooler in tone. Here is 3 from SUQQU, which is more of a corally shade. And here's Parfait. And let's see here. Parfait, more pink. We also have Ponceau, which is more of a coral. Let's put that one here. Again, more pink. And then this one here's number 2 from SUQQU, the only real pink blush from them. So let's put that here. And for this one, I think my closest is going to be Tumefait Rougir. Here's that. And it's going to be a little bit cooler in tone. Unfortunately, I don't have anything closer than that in the Surratt. So those are my closest Surratt matches to the SUQQU blushes. If you're interested in more comparisons to the SUQQU blushes, I have a whole comparison video that just went up, and that has basically the rest of my blush collection in it. So if you're interested in seeing my blush collection, the majority of it is in that video. Moving on, we have some Chantecaille requests. So let's start with this metallic shade here. So this is like a purpley, taupey, silvery shade. And I am really running out of space here. So we'll do this one on my hand here. And the request for this one's actually with one of the Victoria Beckham shades, like their creamy shadows in Tea Rose. So here's Tea Rose. Let's see how this compares. All right, so it's going to be a lot deeper, more rosy, less purple. The Victoria Beckham is definitely going to be warmer in tone. And this is the mirror shade from Victoria Beckham. So we're going to look at the white shade with this, but you can see this one's really more of a silver. And the white here is going to be a pretty stark white. So here's that. And let me show you the white with the Interstellar from Surratt, because I actually think that's a closer match, but you can see how blinding the white is from Chantecaille. The next closest white I have is in the Givenchy 903 palette. And I did actually go through and check all of my white shadows. These are my 2 closest, Interstellar and the Givenchy. So you can see the Givenchy is also can be pretty blinding, but it's a little bit warmer of a white. I mean, look at the way the light hits it. It's pretty blinding. Now for the holidays, Chantecaille came out with this shade from the Cool Hummingbird Quad Quartet in a single. I didn't purchase a single since I already had this one, but let's take a look at how this shade compares. And here is Zebra from Chantecaille. This one I think is a little bit more pink. But it's probably the closest. Pangolin is deeper, but that's the next closest shade. Here's Pangolin. But again, this is going to be a deeper shade here. But I think the tones are more similar to the shade in the new Giraffe Quartet. And then we're also going to just swatch the Giraffe Quartet as a whole and compare it to the Safari Trio that came out last year. So let's go ahead. Here is Giraffe. Just going to go over those a little bit. I don't think I had enough pigment. I have to say this third shade in the Quartet, it doesn't swatch as well as the others. It's a satin shade. It's kind of like this reddish brown shade, but it just, I don't know, it doesn't swatch as well. So this one is from the Safari Trio. I want to put that kind of like closer to that. Let me do that again. So there's that. This is the rest of the Safari Trio. You can see that those don't really go. Let me find another spot to put these. So this one here is Giraffe and this one here is Safari. It doesn't, I don't know if there's a name for it. But let's put those side by side right here. All right, so this one's Giraffe, this one's Safari. You can see that it's gonna be more red. All right, and so that's this one and this one here. I think those are gonna be the closest from it, but let me show you the other two shades from Safari here. Just put them up here. So we've got this gold and this brown, which is not gonna quite go with this one. Here, we'll put those next to each other as well. You can see that it's gonna be cooler in tone. Now, I do wanna note that the Safari Trio is actually the eye shade formula from Chantecaille. So it's a different formula. It's a little bit drier. They're not quite as creamy and they're a little bit more sheer. You can build them up, you know, some of these colors. I'm not saying that they are very light necessarily. A lot of the shades in the eye shades are. These aren't necessarily all that light, but they are a different formula. They are a pressed powder that's a little bit less creamy. And yeah, I personally prefer the formula in the Quartet better. It works better for me. I don't love the Chantecaille eye shades personally. There are certain ones that I really like, but as a whole, it's not my favorite formula from them. And then last up for today, we are looking for a dupe for the taupe shade here in the Dior Organza palette. Unfortunately, I still haven't found one, but I'll show you what I have that is closest. So we're gonna go up here above the blushes. So that is the taupe in Dior Organza. We're gonna start off with a couple shades from Surratt. This is Haute Chocolat. Right there, that's too dark. We also have Vison, which is one of my favorite shades from Surratt. And you can see that that one is, it is a little bit closer. I think, you know, Vison is a little bit cooler in tone, but I think it is my closest comparison. And then we have Nude Dress from Dior in the monos. This is number 573. So there's that. You can see it's going to be lighter and it's also a little bit more golden. And we have the Pat McGrath. This one is Telepathic Taupe. I forget which palettes this one is in, but I also have it as a single. So there's that. And that is, it's pretty close. It's a little bit cooler in tone, but I think it is similar. And yeah, this one here, the taupe in the Hummingbird palette from Chantecaille, which isn't really available anymore, but I figure might as well put that on here as well. It's gonna be lighter and cooler. So I think for me, out of my collection, the ones that I have that are the closest, is Pat McGrath Telepathic Taupe and Surratt Vison. Those are the closest I have to dupes for the taupe in the Dior Organza palette. And I went through all of my Chanel palettes and everything too. This one here is Tissé Essentiel, and I'll just show you the two closest from here, but they don't have quite the right tones. So let's see here. That's the top shade, and then squeeze this in between here. It's the lighter one. So that's the closest out of all the Chanel ones I have. So hopefully this was helpful. If you are looking for a dupe, you can't get Organza and you really want that taupe, I would definitely take a look at Pat McGrath Telepathic Taupe or Vison from Surratt. And I really like both of them. I think they're both great formulas. So I hope this was helpful. If you have additional requests or things that you are interested in seeing, please let me know, because I am planning another update video, you know, in a week or so. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day. Stay safe and healthy.